content. We're just gonna just start off by kind of providing some brief introductions for who the two of us are, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I will let Kristen start us off.
Sure. So I'm Kristen. My background is in occupational therapy. I was practicing previously in Edmonton in acute care, but I've since recently moved to Red Deer to pursue hand therapy, where I just started on Monday. It's been great. It's awesome. Love it so far. As far as my involvement with ASA, I kind of joined on as their health and wellness executive, where I kind of want to bring awareness about physical and mental health in the gaming space. As we all know, these things are very important. It's not talked about as much, I think, so far in our space, but we're definitely getting that traction and it's getting more attention as we go. And I like panels like this allow us to talk about these topics more and reach a broader audience, which I'm so excited about. And I'm excited to be here with Matt. He's awesome, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Awesome. Thanks. So my name is Matt Demwasak. I'm a co-founder of a sport and performance psychology company called Mindbuffs. My partner, Alex, she presented at the Salt Mines. She was unavailable for tonight, but I'll kind of share a little bit about what we do. So at Mindbuffs, we work with high performance people, whether it's athletes, esports, business, first responders. We're looking to take the research and the science that already exists in other types of performance industries and to bring it to esports. As a fellow gamer and as a psychologist, I want to be able to kind of bring those two passions online together and to be able to help esports and ASA, which is just the most incredible people at ASA, just to kind of help build and foster this culture that just allows for growth and health within the community of ASA, of Alberta, and beyond potentially. So yeah, I'm a gamer at heart. Happened since I was a kid. My grandma was the first person to put a Super Nintendo controller in my hand. I would sneak over to her side of the house to watch her play Final Fantasy, Lufia 2, and I even remember playing like a Lion King game with Super Nintendo. But it's something that I've always kind of kept with me, and thank goodness during COVID too, it's been my main source of spending time with friends. Has been spending time online playing games. So that just kind of naturally led me to, after 9 years of post-secondary, to become a psychologist, of bringing those together. And I get to work with amazing people like Kristen to kind of share our knowledge and experience that we have. So yeah, we'll get into the content that we're going to be going over today. There'll be a lot of things that will allow you guys to kind of think introspectively, to kind of consider some of the subject matter that we're going over today for yourselves, for loved ones, and we're even going to do a meditation at the end. And as always, just flood the chat with questions or comments, and we're going to interact with you guys for the next 55 minutes here. Okay?
Yeah, for sure. Before we start off, I'd like to just mention again that we're doing this again for Extra Life. We all know any donations, of course, are appreciated. They all go towards our local children's hospitals. So I think that is a worthy cause, if anything, if you want to throw money at us. And if you do, we'll have something in return. At the end, we'll have a giveaway of some sorts. We have 2 codes for Herbaland. Again, they sponsored us last time for Salt Mines. It was great. So far, I hear that people are really enjoying the gummies. I take gummies every day just as a vitamin thing. It makes me feel healthier. So if you want to try it out, then I encourage you to stay throughout the whole stream. And at the end, we'll give those out to 2 random viewers.
Awesome. Okay. So the main conversation that we want to kind of have with you guys today is talking about a term that has been very popular in the last 10, 15 years. We want to talk about kind of the concept of mindfulness. And the really cool thing about going over this topic today is that we're going to have Kristen's experience working with physical injuries and just how she has both employed that in her work and also even her own kind of personal journey with mindfulness. We'll kind of weave that in and out as we go. and then also from as a psychologist, speaking from how I kind of teach people about mindfulness in a way where it becomes an active part of my clients' almost like ideology. It's so ingrained, is the hope, that my clients kind of learn and breathe mindfulness, because the benefits through research are just, they're insane. It's incredible how many different things that a practice of mindfulness has on all facets of being human. So we'll go over all of those things. So I think maybe just to start, I'll talk a little bit about my own kind of journey to discovering mindfulness, using meditation, how it's impacted me in pretty much every area of my life, and then kind of going more into the scientific aspects of it. So playing competitive sports as a kid, for any of you who have played sports, who play video games online, if it's just even for fun with your friends or competitively like we saw today, you'll notice it's really difficult to stay focused. And
No,
if you're not
100%.
focused, you're not really able to be effective in sports, gaming, at work, in relationships. So when you hear the word mindfulness, it's the art of being present, non-judgmentally accepting whatever you're experiencing in your internal world. That's the hard part. Okay, we'll save that for the end, but the non-judgmental piece is by far the most difficult part about
Holy
being
crap.
mindful. Yeah.
Yeah, non-judgmental. That is the key word here. Holy, and it like ties in, like you said, to so many aspects of being human, being
Mhm.
kind to ourselves, self-acceptance, self-love. My God,
Mhm.
there's
So
so much to
mindfulness
talk
is
about.
amazing because really at the core of it, and this is where like meditation comes in, you're training your brain on how to be in the most desired state of existence, i.e., the present moment. Once the brain begins to kind of learn that rather than following the fluffy white tail into the rabbit hole or getting stuck on the merry-go-round of negative thoughts and negative feelings, if we can train our mind to just be aware of those experiences, but then just to come back to the present, over time, our brain learns that, oh, I guess there's no point in overthinking. There's no point in beating ourselves up because this human doesn't even want our feedback anyway. So you literally are able to kind of restructure your brain on how you're kind of receiving those internal messages. So it's really cool. Okay.
Hmm.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about before going into the two pillars of mindfulness, and we'll be breaking that down, is that everyone's internal world is different based on your personality. What I mean by that is your genetic code plus your lived experience, the environment. Those two combined will make it so that the way that you experience your thoughts, your feelings, the sensations in your body is going to be unique to some extent from person to person. So it really is about having an opportunity to learn about yourself in really, really cool ways as well, which is why meditation is so cool, is that it's opportunity to kind of like learn about what's kind of happening in your internal world. So just keep in mind that some of these things that we're going to talk about, some are universal, but some are going to be very, very unique from person to person. So that's where, if you guys have any questions or anything, just feel free to kind of slide that in there.
Yeah, it's strange to think that like your mind, you are with your mind 24/7. You know yourself the most intimately, but I feel like meditation kind of and mindfulness brings you closer to yourself in a way that is not typically thought of initially.
Mm-hmm.
Like although you're alone with yourself, you have thoughts of racing about past events, future-oriented experiences
Mm-hmm.
that like we're not used to thinking about present self, awareness of the moment, engagement in the moment,
Yes,
and I think like that is a whole new experience for people sometimes.
completely. And the present moments, it's scary. Like if you're not
Hmm.
100% comfortable to be like open, vulnerable, if you don't feel 100% okay being your authentic self, you're going to
Yeah.
struggle to be present. So this
Mhm.
isn't a simple thing that we're going to be talking about today. This is like any new skill. If you're trying to learn a different loadout, if you're learning a new skill at work, or in a sport, like you gotta put the time in. Otherwise, all this is just going to go in one year and out the other. So very much a deliberate thing that needs to be taken account for. Okay, so we're going to break down the first pillar. Pillar one of mindfulness is called self-awareness. Pillar two, non-judgmental acceptance, and then there's two other ones that we won't go over here today, but these two will be more applicable for kind of what we're talking about here. So the four key areas of self-awareness are thoughts, feelings, be anywhere, somatic sensations, and somatic is a word that we use to describe any sensation that you experience in your body. Kristen deals a lot with clients and pain and somatic sensations in the body. So she will speak a great deal about that for sure. And the fourth, environment. Environment as gamers, this is massive. It can be really, really, really easy in competitive games to get tunnel vision, and where you actually lose sight of environmental information, environmental cues that can help you or your team. And if you're not able to be present, you'll miss out on vital information that you can be communicating with your teammates. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So thoughts. I think everyone that is here can think of a few common things that their brain likes to kind of go over, negative things. You're stupid. What's wrong with you? Why'd I do that?
Embarrassing things. Thoughts that haunt you at night.
Right. If this would be like another marker if you practice mindfulness or meditation. If you're able to go to bed, put your head on the pillow, and not be completely bombarded by thoughts, you're doing a really good job during the day of being mindful. So a good sign that you're not being present throughout the day is if your head's hitting that pillow and you're just getting flooded with thoughts and feelings. Okay.
That is a great point. Holy crap. I was just thinking, like, that is how I go to sleep most of the time, where my mind is like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? What did that mean? Could I have done something differently? I definitely can be practicing more mindfulness throughout my day. I'll admit it.
Yeah, we all can. I mean, that's what's really cool about those moments is that when you actually find time to sit, pause, and chill out, your brain will present to you everything that you have yet to be able to process throughout the day. So if you're waiting until bedtime to do that, that's why people might get insomnia. It's not.
Yes.
It's not insomnia.
We talked about this last panel, I remember. Yeah.
Okay, so and if you were to just spend a few minutes alone by yourself or talking with someone, you would be able to kind of see what some of these maybe negative or irrational thought patterns are that might be creating a lot of stress. I know for myself, because I come from such a really competitive background, that even when I'm playing video games, I play a lot of Apex, a lot of Rocket League. I would say those are my two main games. If I'm not being diligent in keeping myself present, I will notice that my brain goes back to like my 16-year-old self, where I'm beating myself up for making a mistake or getting frustrated at myself or my squad mates. But like 5-10 minutes in, before I even realize that my brain is just sending all this negative feedback. So it's a really big cue for me to be able to kind of just step back, cool it, maybe even walk away for 5 minutes before returning to the screen. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that.
No, for sure. Like you think that a growth obviously happens. Like we have more control, impulse control over as we grow up with experiences, but we do tend to like revert back to these like stages where we think that we've overcome, and that's because like mental state, cognition, everything is practiced. It's a habit. Like it's things that you keep monitoring and you keep tabs on, right? And like that is very relatable. Like
100%. I
Mhm.
worked with some junior hockey players over the summer, and as all of you know, with COVID, sports they were canceled. So a lot of athletes were
Mhm.
kind of stuck at home, not able to access their training facilities. Being the gamer that I am, I decided to use video games as a training platform. So a lot of the athletes that I was working with, anyone that played any kind of competitive game, whether it was Smash or COD or Apex, I told them play competitive games and notice how the same feelings you experience in sport, same feelings you experience at school or at work, you will have the exact same experiences when playing video games. There is opportunity for growth
Ah,
even while you're playing
uh-huh.
competitive games. Your brain does
Mm.
not compartmentalize sports, esport,
Oh
relationship,
yeah.
life. It doesn't do that. So we're going to get
Mhm.
all the same internal messaging.
Mhm. Mhm.
Think about a game that you guys play where you beat yourself up. You might find it's the exact same pattern in other areas of your life, and it's going to prevent you from being a better gamer. Okay, so this is part
Oh
of
yeah.
why we're talking
Yes.
about this.
Mm.
The second key factor of self awareness is feelings, emotions.
Feelings. What we
Okay,
all love and know.
yeah,
Yes.
we know that there's a lot of families that let's just how should I word this? A lot of parents didn't do a good job of giving us the instruction manual on how to operate our emotional selves. So as
Mm.
adults, some of us kind of struggle to kind of figure out what emotions are, what they're trying to tell me, and what to do with them. Some of us might have grown
Mhm.
up in better homes where we kind of have a positive relationship with emotions, but I see a lot of people where we can't even get to the root of the problem because they have such a distant or um, kind of, I don't want to use the word immature, but underdeveloped relationship to their emotions. And if you don't have a good understanding of what your emotions are trying to tell you, it's going to be very difficult to kind of have that growth mindset to be a better version of yourself, if you will.
Mhm.
Right?
And now a thing that I learned that I really like that helped me understand emotions more is that like emotions, they're neurological, they're signals that happen in your body, in your brain. They live in your body. They're part of your body. Have you guys ever felt so stressed that you'll have like a stomach ache or you'll get like a migraine or something? Like that is like your body processing emotion and you it your body speaks a certain language, right? Body language, and we need to learn how to interpret those signals from our body. Um, and I find that mindfulness is a good way to focus, raise awareness on bodily sensations, your mind, the connection between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But emotions definitely they have a beginning, they have a middle, they have an
I
end.
love that. Yes.
It's a tunnel, you have to go through it,
I
and then
love that.
people, they get overwhelmed, they get burnt out, they get stressed when they're stuck in the middle of emotion. You need
Yeah.
to, like, finish the emotion.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love the way you worded that. That's so
Mhm.
true. Um,
Mhm.
Tino from Rose has a really good question here. So they
For
ask,
sure.
how would you define the line between beating yourself up versus being critical
Ooh,
with yourself? Okay,
okay. Oh, I like this. Okay.
good question.
Maybe I'll take a stab at this first.
Sweet.
So being critical versus beating yourself up. Well, I think you need to ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? So beating yourself up, you feel like you're not enough. You feel like you're
Mm,
not good enough. You need to achieve something. You need to gain something in order to get to this place where you are good enough. Um, with like ignoring that we have inherent enoughness and that we are already we
mhm,
have value when we're born, just being human, right?
yeah.
Being critical, you are giving yourself constructive feedback to get to a place that you want to be without thinking that like you're terrible and you don't deserve anything and you're not good enough, it comes from I think like where you are mentally and like why you're giving yourself that criticism. Does that kind of make sense?
is beautiful. You said that so perfectly. I could not have said that any better myself. The one thing that I'll add in terms of maybe being able to differentiate those two things to another level is when I'm working with any competitive or high performance person, I separate the game from training. Okay, in the middle of a game, there is no time or space to be critical of yourself. That's not the time to do that. There is no benefit of beating yourself up or almost like using like negative like punishment. For those of you familiar with Psych 101, kind of like inflicting emotional pain on yourself to like learn a lesson. There's no use for that in the middle of a game. Okay, you break that down in training, in practice. So for those of you who are legitimately interested in becoming better gamers or better at anything really that you do, take video of your games, break it down afterwards, and you can be critical of your play then, because there is an intentionality when you're in that post game mode or when you're training, that you're actually looking to improve using critical analysis. But in the middle of a game, there's no way that you can learn or correct in the middle of a match. That's not the time. The game is for when you're supposed to utilize all of your training to be present, to be mindful. So I loved your question, and I hope that shows the difference between the two. And really, when it comes to the game, there isn't a whole lot of internal feedback that should be going on outside of just encouraging yourself to just stay in it, stay focused. But such a good question. Love it.
Yeah, and kind of like building off of that, like being mindful when you're in the game is so important for performance in itself. Like you don't want to be thinking about, I mean, before when we had LAN tournaments, like the crowd of people behind you, the pressure of the moment, like all of those things impact performance. And I feel like high performance athletes, they have trained their mind to just focus in on the game without thinking of external stressors. Thinking about what the next match will be or 2 matches from now and what you have to do, like just being in the present, being mindful.
100%. A cool little thing that I've noticed even in myself, because I mean I'm a incredibly competitive person, so I still have my moments where I'm sure I've got friends who are watching this stream who are laughing right now. I still have my moments where I get frustrated at myself, and that competitiveness comes out more in a negative way. And what I've been doing recently is I pretend that at all times, if I'm by myself or if I'm just playing with friends, that I'm like live streaming, imagining that there's like an audience of people that are watching what I say, that are watching my body language. And it's been an interesting contrast for how much better I feel like I've been able to kind of manage my emotions and manage my body language, just by having that awareness that others might be watching. So it might be useful for some of you guys. Okay.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I see you one more turn. I know. A good friend of mine, he knows how competitive I can get. It's another question from Esports Alberta. What's the best way to respond to someone who is dealing poorly with loss and frustration in games? Okay. Good question. I actually did an entire session, honestly, just on this question alone this morning with a group of 12-year-olds on a hockey team. And the answer is going to be different, again, based on your personality. If you have a teammate who is getting really frustrated at themselves and getting really angry, depending on their personality, they could be someone who needs to be told, it's okay, it's all right, like just stay in it, you're doing really good. They could be someone where you just need to shut your mouth, say nothing, and let them figure it out. I know I've got friends where you just have to let them kind of blow off the steam, and only in between matches can you really get to them. And then there are still some people who like it the old-fashioned way, where you kind of, not out of anger, but aggressively try to shift their focus by kind of being like, yo, it's okay, focus on the next task, let's go. So that really like high intensity kind of communication can really shake someone out of that negativity as well. But those 3 examples are only good for like in the moment shifts and adjustments. I think your question is more of a larger than just the game
Mm.
experience that requires more work than that.
Yeah, I would say that if they're it depends on how they're like how poorly they're dealing. Like what degree we're talking about. Like, are they throwing things? Are they being verbally abusive? I mean, all of those things are inappropriate in like a tournament context. So in that case, I would get a TO to step in, get that person to talk on the side, calm them down if you can, like all those steps to de-escalate. But I think a good question, or a good thing to keep in mind, like what Matt said, is that everybody is different, and sometimes it just takes asking the person, like, what works for you, like what'll make you feel better, like what can I do to help like facilitate this, like going through of emotion, like we said, to finish this emotion. And
100%.
this kind of ties into the next like question Siri Cohn is asking, like any good techniques to help push yourself into a mindful state when you begin noticing yourself feel negative or emotional. Guys, I've had so many patients at the
Mhm.
hospital, like so much anxiety, like so like depressed, just so much mood going on because they have had a major significant change in their health status, and they're just trying to grasp onto the sense of like what their bodies looked like before, or what their function was before, or their loss in independence, things like this, right? Lots of emotions going on, and that affects how they participate in therapy.
Mhm.
And things that, like, if when they feel anxious and they don't want to push it, they don't want to push themselves, they don't want to get up, like sometimes it's just taking those deep breaths. Like I've done so much deep breathing at the hospital, not only for like COPD patients who like take 10 steps and are out of breath, but
Yeah,
like for like anxiety, if you're feeling frustrated, like just take some breath. Like that's mindful as well. Just concentrating on breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Do a couple repetitions. Do some body scans, feeling the sensation in your body, taking mindful movements when we're working together. It all helps in going through that emotion. Like physical activity is incredibly helpful when it comes
100%.
to like those
100%.
feelings, right? Yeah.
I will answer your question in a bit because it has to do with that. But I just want to go over the other 2 types of self awareness. And then I'm going to speak a lot more on acceptance and why, if that doesn't happen first, any skill or technique you try to use to bring yourself back to the present moment will be far more ineffective. So
Mhm.
I'll definitely touch on that question. Okay. So the next one is my favorite to talk about because it's wild. It is incredible how specific the human body can be when it's trying to relay information. And if we were actually able to just pause in moments throughout the day to be able to pay attention to what our body is doing and what it's trying to tell us, it's incredible how much information the brain is sending us through our body throughout the day. So the third point of self-awareness that is really important to improve and increase, especially as a gamer, because like again, I know there's some people in this room. This is not an ideal posture when you're playing, but you don't even know it's happening. And so if you are unable to be in tune with what your body's doing throughout the day, you can end up in this position
Oh
halfway through
yeah.
and wonder why you're spraying bullets and making a portrait out of your enemy. Okay. So there are some really unique correlations between where you experience sensations in your body and specifically what your brain is trying to tell you. So hear me out here. It's really wild. I have noticed in my practice that when I'm working with people who experience a lot of pressure or tension, tingliness, increased energy in their lower body, it almost always means GTFO. Okay, it means something is wrong, or I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself, or something about the situation needs to change. So let's just get our ass out of here so that we can just avoid the stress altogether. Okay.
Mm.
So it's interesting. I'll literally be working across the room as a therapist with someone, and if I can see someone's leg just twitching, just moving, I know that they are very uncomfortable, whether they are aware of it or not, that maybe it's a little bit too difficult to talk about what we're talking about. So their body's telling them, yo, we need to get out of here right now. It's so wild how specific it is sometimes. Another crazy one, and this is one that I experienced a lot from working in the judicial system for 8 years as a prison guard. I would have anxiety in my gut. And I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed with a lot of people that feel pressure or pain, tightness in their gut, it's the brain's way of trying to tell us that we're either not safe or we're trapped. I also want you to think about like families. I know probably half of you have probably felt this way to some degree or another in academic settings. Having those knots in your stomach can often feel like a trapped feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable, and unless you actually able to acknowledge what your body or your brain's trying to tell you, you'll just keep feeling that crappy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a couple other areas that are really unique is a lot of people who feel like pain or like hurt, heaviness in the chest. Sometimes you can feel really hot or energized in this area, is often the body's way of telling you that you're not good enough or that you're failing.
Mm-hmm.
So notice when you're having those thoughts in a game, do a quick body scan and see where your body's holding on to that tension. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's wild.
Oh yeah, I feel like our shoulders tend to slouch, like our necks go forward, like all those natural things. Yeah.
This happens after we have had those negative thoughts and feelings about not being good enough, about being a failure. This, I notice heaviness in the shoulders and the neck is burden. I am responsible for letting everyone down. I am responsible for disappointing everyone. It's my fault that we lost this game. And that tends to be pressure that you experience here. I know that Christian has probably worked with a lot of people who just have stress from work. And it's like every single day they cannot remove the pain and the pressure from their neck, back, and shoulders.
Mm-hmm. It's chronic pain
Yes.
that just develops, like
Mhm.
postures, like get stuck, especially in older people. Like these
Mm.
are all risks that can happen, and like some people feel like chronic pain, and they take the medicine for it. They go to their doctors, like they don't know. It just popped out of nowhere one day. Sometimes it's stress. I'll ask them, like, "What does your day look like?" And they'll tell me that they work like 3 different jobs and they're not getting any sleep, and I'm like, "Huh,
Huh.
yeah,
What do you think your body's trying to tell you? Right? If you actually pay attention, you can actually see that it's very rational, it's very logical, based on your lived experience. And the last interesting one, for those of you that experience maybe more headaches or migraines than the average person, oftentimes I've noticed that those are people who feel consumed with thoughts and feelings of having no control or feeling helpless in a given situation. So whether that's work, family, relationship, it typically creates a lot of overthinking when the body or the brain feels like you have no control, you're helpless. And so just imagine it like an engine getting overworked, and eventually like steam has to come out, and there's just so much pressure being built that you experience like headaches there, like really wild correlations. So again, take this as an opportunity as you kind of go about your next week to see like what's my body trying to tell me, and is it similar to this language or not. Okay.
mhm,
um okay, we got for time here. Okay, so the last thing that we can be aware of again is environment. I won't go into too much detail there, but essentially the idea is that if you're at that right level of intensity and you're focused in your match, you should still have access to like your peripheral vision and be able to utilize that when kind of taking in the environment, when you're making like rotations, or when you're trying to create space, an advantage on an opponent, whether it's like in a fighting game or um, in an FPS. The environment is always sending us information and cues as to kind of how to best utilize a situation, and that that takes more time to kind of increase that type of awareness, but it's still kind of as critical to that. Okay, we're going to go into pillar number 2. Oh,
Oh, great! I was
Yay!
wondering, like, oh God, we're at our last minute already.
No, I didn't realize we started that late. Okay, I won't rush too much then. Okay, as long as I'm not boring you, as long as we're not boring you guys. But I think we will spend quite a lot of time on this point, and this will kind of answer your question as well, Siri-kun. Pillar 2, non-judgmental acceptance of everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
Accepting your thoughts for what they are, your feelings for what they are, especially in Kristen's line of work, accepting the way your body is in your present day reality. And what might even be more difficult for some people is accepting the reality of your environment. Maybe there is not a whole lot that you can do.
Oh,
Maybe
and like oh man, there's this whole intersection with like disabilities and accessibility, and it's crazy. Like self-acceptance, like man, it is so hard to achieve when we live in a society that constantly compares us to other people, that gives us a hierarchy on what bodies at the top of the hierarchy should look like and what bodies at the bottom of the hierarchy should look like. And I say that's BS. Like it sucks, and it's the society we live in right now. Um, so I say that it's impossible almost to get validation from like external factors or our external world to know that we are enough, because once we reach that one level, we'll always want to reach another level and another level. And like for some people, it's impossible to ever ascend this hierarchy or this ladder, because I've met people who are in wheelchairs and they can't get into banks, or they can't get into their own apartment buildings because the doors aren't wide enough or there aren't ramps or anything like that, and it really impacts self-acceptance. And it's definitely an uphill battle for some people more than others, but I believe that like mindfulness is definitely a key in like getting there, just knowing that you are enough. You Everybody is valuable no matter what it looks like and no matter how you identify. Yeah,
And it's
like
difficult when, especially like health and fitness is advertised so overtly now. How much money
yeah.
the beauty industry makes off of advertising and products. When you think about the people that we are trying to raise funds for right now, I mean, there are people who are a part of this stream that experience significant loss of of identity from their body changing or having an illness or a disability. But it doesn't mean that you are not enough. It doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. The sooner you're able to kind of accept the reality of and the situation that you're in, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, you are creating a strong springboard to be able to move forward from. The analogy that I kind of wanted to use is, you remember when, as a kid, you would be doing something, maybe something that you should be doing. Your parents would be like, "What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?" And you would continue to pretend to ignore that they are upset with you and pretend to ignore that they're trying to call your name. And eventually it blows up because they have to get your attention. I want you to think about it in the same way as your brain. If we continue to ignore and not accept the information that our brain or our body or emotions are trying to tell us, it will get to a breaking point. Burnout. This is what burnout is. Burnout is when we have continued to ignore all of the various cues that our body, our emotions, our mind has sent us. And it finally goes, yeah, well, I'm pulling the chute. And then it just starts to randomly throw out parts, and you get random symptoms and random pain because things are just shutting down because you just can't handle it anymore. You gotta stay on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to like how you're. Oh man, self-acceptance. It's difficult.
It's
It
hard.
requires courage, vulnerability with yourself, honesty. Like a spiritual practice. It's like a cognitive practice. It's so
100%.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to be like, you need to feel so deeply that you belong to yourself, that you are your authentic self, and
Mm.
that you don't have to fit in. You just need to like belong with yourself. Belonging is harder than fitting
Hmm.
in my head, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to give an
like self.
example. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna kind of provide an example to kind of tie in a lot all these different concepts that we've kind of gone over. I want to talk about a negative core belief that most of us, at least to some extent, have felt at some point in our lives. I want to talk about the fear of failure. Okay,
Mm.
so going back to some of these questions about being critical, about negative self-talk, things like that. Why, why does our brain continue to inundate us with these negative feedback loops? It's exhausting. It gets old. Well, here's why. If we have an integral core belief that states, I am a failure, right? We are afraid for that to become a reality. So everything that we're going to be doing, I'm going to use video games as an example. When we're playing a game, is rather than it being out of like this pure passion to like be your best person, you're being more motivated by fear of failure. Okay. A lot of people
Mhm.
might experience imposter syndrome as well. This is kind of like a an aside to fear of failure. The reason why your brain and your body is sending you all this negative stimulus is that it's trying to protect you. I know it sounds stupid. I want you to think about it like it's trying to overprotect you. It's so afraid, your body, your brain, your mind, because of that belief, fear of failure, is so afraid of you failing that it's trying to warn you and tell you that you are about to experience failure. So you better do something about it. This is
Mhm.
where acceptance comes in. If you can recognize all that negative information that is being spread throughout your mind, your emotions, your body, if you can accept it in this way, okay, I'm beating myself up right now because I'm really competitive. This really matters to me. I really want to do a good job. I'm afraid of failing. It's okay. I get it. Thank you, brain, but I'm okay. I'm going to focus on my next shift. I'm going to focus on my next conversation. I'm going to focus on my next engagement, my next fight. I can do this. Without acknowledging that your brain is trying to protect you from failing, if you continue to ignore the signs you're getting in your internal world, it will continue to shout at you like the angry parent.
Mhm.
This is why, without acceptance, any skill or technique you use, again, will be incredibly ineffective. We have to first acknowledge and accept what our body or our mind is trying to tell us. And then from there, it can be like, oh, okay, they heard us. Perfect. Now I'll let their human self try to figure it out from here. But
Mhm.
without that acceptance, we will get stuck in that loop. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always say being aware of a problem is the first step to fixing the problem.
100%. Okay.
Mhm.
What, like watching passing? Yes. The first time anxiety was ever explained to me, and this was back when I had severe anxiety about 10 years ago. I also was kind of told that passing car analogy. I was also told another analogy that's like watching ice floats in the spring moving down the river. You Anxiety is all the moving cars. Okay, all the cars. Stress, all the moving cars. Now, you can just acknowledge the existence of the cars and just stand by the side of the road and just kind of watch them pass and just kind of accept, what's in front of you. Or if you try to stop the negative thoughts or push away the negative thoughts, you can get your ass run over. There's a reason why that analogy sticks, because that's what happens if you try to get in the way or stop your negative thoughts or anxiety. Without accepting it, you're
Uh-huh.
roadkill.
Damn, that's the first time I'm hearing of this metaphor, and it's a good one. That's good.
I'm
I
glad
like
you
it.
brought that up, theory. Yeah, yeah. So part of today's stream, it's optional. We're not we're not pulling your ear telling you about to do this. We
We
want you guys
strongly
to be able
recommend you do.
to strongly
We
recommend that
strongly recommend.
you
You're here anyways.
right. Come on. I know it's late, so hopefully it wouldn't put you in a to a slumber, but I will explain how we can prevent that. We want to be able to actually do a meditation with you as an audience. So that means that anyone who's going to be watching the stream for the next few minutes is going to be wondering what the hell is going on. Why? But it also means that if you've been here the whole time, then you get to reap the benefits of
Yes.
staying tuned this whole time. Okay. So the whole point of the baby step. So I have 4 phases of meditation that I employ with all of my my clients. So we get to the end goal, which just as kind of like a funny joke, I'll explain near the end of the stream as to what the graduation ceremony of meditation looks like. I briefly explained it to Kristen earlier. So we're going to start off with the very first phase that I have my clients do, which is just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of meditation. And what we mean by that is trying to keep 100% of your focus on your breath the whole time. Anytime you notice a distraction, a thought, a feeling, a sensation in your body, to non-judgmentally accept that distraction, that awareness, and to just return it back to the breath. Okay. We are just going to do that for 5 minutes, and we'd really love if you guys would be able to comment anything that you noticed that you found really difficult, or maybe even if you surprised yourself and there were a few moments that you really felt zen, or you felt like you were in the zone or really focused. And we'll just kind of talk as a community here about kind of what that experience was like.
Yeah. Really interested to hear what people's experiences are, or
Mhm,
if you've tried meditation before.
mhm.
Yeah, we'd be interested to know.
Mhm. The last thing I'm going to say will transition us into doing the activity is posture. Okay, so I know
Mm.
Kristen will really like this. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, have done yoga, or maybe you've done meditation before bed, put on a cool soundscape or some amazing South African accent to kind of help yourself get to sleep, and you're laying down. Okay, when we lay down, when doing meditation, we activate sleepy brainwaves. So rather than actually training the mind on how to be intentionally focused on the present moment, if you do it laying down, you're actually more kind of activating the sleepy, over relaxed. You're not actually really training the brain then. You're just kind of trying to turn it off at that point. So when you are doing intentional meditation, you need to be sitting. A lot of people who teach meditation would say to sit in a dignified posture. So kind of like having your chest out, your shoulder blades kind of pinned back. It's like the confident walk you would have if you were feeling really good in a new sexy outfit that you had as you're walking like down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so if as long as your feet have to be planted, connected, grounded, 90 degrees, because we want this to be require some form of effort to actually maintain this posture so that we're like intentional about our focus. Okay. So
Mhm.
I'm going to just set a little timer on my telephone. 5 minutes of extreme
Yes.
silence for meditation. And again, your only job
Yes.
is when you notice distraction, is to bring it back to the sensation of your breath, whether it's the sound, the feeling of that breath.
Mhm.
Just focus it and keep it on that breath. Anything else before we begin?
Any questions? Everyone's excited.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Ready to become. Okay. All right, guys. 5 minutes of meditation. It'll probably help if you close your eyes. Let's do this, guys. Here we go. gong.
Oh my god. Holy sh! Oh my god. Dang, I got like super into that. I forgot we were doing this whole stream.
Oh man, I wish I had a gong sound effect to cue us out there.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Good morning, everybody.
welcome back. Good, people are still here. It's good.
That was
Okay.
the trip. I feel mad good. Thanks, Ty.
All right.
Definitely jumped a little bit. Oh man, I don't know about you guys. I feel calm. I feel less stressed. Panels for me will always be like stressful and kind of like anxiety inducing, but man, that was great.
I'll make sure that we do the meditation, the two of us,
Yeah,
before our next panel.
right. Good idea. Let's do that.
So I'm going to share what I noticed for myself. Kristen, if you want, you can. And then I want to see
Yeah.
people just putting in the chat like what you found the most interesting or what was the most difficult. Maybe, obviously you don't need to share specifically, but maybe there was like the same thought or the same feeling or the same sensation that kept trying to like break down the door. Because I definitely had one distraction that I had to just keep accepting and allowing. Every 40 to 50 seconds, I kept noticing, what if someone just joins the stream and just sees Kristen and I with our eyes closed doing nothing? That'd be super weird. I have to like, it's
I had
okay.
that same
It's okay. Right?
thing.
Bring it back to the breath. And I would notice my heart rate would pick up as well. And I'm like, it's okay. Focus on the breath. So that was the biggest distraction that I had noticed.
Oh, for sure. I had that reoccurring thought as well. But bodily sensations in terms of those, like definitely heart rate lowered, breathing more regulated, all those good things I like. I used to meditate, I think it must have like a year ago. Like I tried to get into it for like a month. I had lots of recurring thoughts, I had lots of intrusions,
Mm,
and I found that like a reason why I quit back then was because I was shaming myself and saying like I'm just not good at this, or like what's the point if I'm having these thoughts keep coming in. But what I know now is that like all those things are part of meditation. It's not that
mhm.
you're bad at it if you're having intrusive thoughts. It's part of meditation to recognize you have those thoughts, accept it, don't judge yourself too harshly, and then going back to uh, concentrating on breath or body sensations, etc. So
Yeah,
definitely don't let that be a discourager if you feel like you're not good at it or you're
totally.
having thoughts all the time. Like it's all part of the process, baby.
100%. The whole point of meditation isn't that like the 5 minutes is supposed to be the quick fix for the day and you're supposed to feel like better about yourself for the rest of the day and be totally relaxed. It's a training, it's practice. The meditation is to train your brain again that the ideal state of existence is I want to be in the present moment. Because the more present you are
Mm,
throughout the day, the more you'll be able to notice those subtle pains or those thoughts or feelings and be able to address it in the moment. So I'm
yes,
hearing some comments here
100%.
where some of you guys are saying like, man, I always feel good after meditation, but it just feels like it doesn't take long to revert back, right? That makes sense. It's probably
Mhm.
something that needs to change or that hasn't been resolved or something that has been kind of eating away at you that you need to kind of deal with. That's why it'll just kind of keep
Mm.
popping up. Okay, I want to see some of these comments now. Yeah, I love Power Shock. I always feel the same way. I love foam rolling, and after meditation, it's like the icing on the cake for me. Is that like I noticed that okay, yeah, I've had a tough week. I got a lot of pain. I worked out, played a lot of sports, but when I do meditation, I seem to really notice it. And that last rollout after meditation is just magical. I'm with you there, buddy. Uh,
I have to meditate while I roll. Wow, Power Shark. That's the first time I'm hearing of that. That's pretty cool.
okay, we got disco. You feel stiffness in your neck and your thumb. Okay.
Mm,
Um, I do this imagery with some of my clients when they are able to kind of notice or locate a pain in their body but not understand it. And I have them imagine that they're sitting in a park, and they get to kind of create and imagine everything they want in the space, because it's your space when you create it. And to imagine sitting on this park bench in this beautiful, serene place, and then to do a body scan and notice where you're feeling the pain. And almost just like, for example, you like asking your neck while you're having this really cool meditative imagery, what is this, or what are you, or like even just asking for a word or a feeling as to like why we're experiencing the pain. And it is insane. It's insane how intuitive a simple question like that can be when you're actually speaking to the body part that's experiencing the pain. And so that could be something that somebody might be able to try, is to literally talk to the pain.
I agree. Like meditation is supposed to help with chronic pain, like managing pain, like as I said, like anxiety, depression, all those things. Like it shouldn't exacerbate symptoms, but it does make them more noticeable because I mean, you're alone with your thoughts and they're with
Uh,
you, and yeah.
yeah. I know that there's probably some people here that it's very uncomfortable to be present, because
Mm.
you might find there's a ton of overthinking if when you're in the present moment, because you're concerned for whatever reason. And so it can be really uncomfortable to be present as well. So it's a sign as well that there's a part of you that doesn't feel 100% safe or comfortable to be present. And that's also information to kind of explore.
Mm.
Yeah, I find it difficult to free my mind from all the tasks and ideas I have in my mind. Yeah, that's
That
tough.
is the challenge.
Okay,
And
100%.
it doesn't come like right away, right? Like meditation is a learned skill.
Mhm. The way
So
that I would
like this
answer it,
ties into like,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Okay, yeah, no, I was gonna like tie that into Tino from Rose. His like question was
Mm,
any recommendations for people who want to get into meditation, like that whole habit thing. I would say like try and do it every day because that's how you form a habit. And if it's just 5 minutes a day, I think that's a good starting point. Like I think Matt would know more because he actually uh, guides his clients through meditation, right? So
mhm,
if you could
mhm.
speak more to that, Matt.
If you are like a straight up newbie when it comes to mindfulness meditation, use the Headspace app. Brilliant
Oh,
introduction
I've heard of that
to,
app.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's really, really good. So I would use that if you're new to it. If you're not, um, I would just stick to keeping it really simple and trying to increase your meditation to 5 to 8 to 10.
Hmm.
Research shows that we cannot um, experience any more benefits beyond 20 minutes of meditation. So there is a cap to it. So you don't have to be super intense and do it for hours and hours and hours like certain people do across the world. 20
Hmm.
minutes is what research has shown as the brain um, produces the most like benefits from that amount of time.
Hmm.
Um,
Don't be too hard on yourself.
yeah, meditation seems oh, okay. Meditation seems impossible to get into. Um, yeah, no, that sounds really difficult. I wonder if there are other types of present moment um, activities that you can do that aren't necessarily meditation, that would still be able to kind of like help train your brain on the desire to be present. So there is flexibility in terms of what meditation is or looks like. So there might be some flexibility. Um,
Mm.
so just as a funny aside, before we get into wrapping this up and getting into the two $10 prizes that we have, when I work with my clients, I had mentioned before that there's 4 phases. Okay, we start at 5, we get to 7 and 8 minutes. Then I have them do two 10-minute sessions in the day. And then once they're able to have a week or two of successful 20-minute meditation sessions, we do the graduation ceremony, which is, I call it's like running the gauntlet. It's really easy to be mindful, to be present, to do meditation if there's no stress in your current environment. But what if I created stress? All of the work that I've done with my client up until that point, I know everything about them. I know all the buttons, I know everything. I will try to actually induce stress to see if even under
Mm.
duress, even under past baggage being brought forward back to the present, can you accept those things? Can you accept those realities that are part of your narrative and still be able to accept and gently redirect back to the present moment? Those sessions are so amazing because it's like the biggest prize you could ever ask for as someone who's gone to therapy, to know that, wow, I literally can take on the worst and be okay with myself.
That
So
is
it's
so
something,
powerful.
yeah,
Wow.
it's a really,
Yeah.
really cool session. And I ramp them up to like kind of the reality of what that session is. But yeah, really, really cool stuff.
Uh-huh.
Anything else before
Last
we get
minute
to the
questions.
goodies? Awesome. You guys, as always, you've been so amazing today. Like, so many questions. You make our job so
Yeah.
much easier by having really thoughtful questions. We really appreciate that.
We
Uh,
love the engagement. Like, we
yeah.
want to have a conversation with you guys, right? We just don't want to be talking
Yeah.
at the screen.
100%. Goal setting. Oh my goodness. How about we say that for the next panel? That's a whole other thing. Donate. Yes. Set that as your immediate goal. Donate.
Yeah.
About setting a goal and accomplishing that goal within seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Giveaway
Let's do our
time.
giveaway. Okay, everyone in chat who's active right now, all you lurkers, whoever's in there, time to send an emote or something, anything.
Get that
Get
giveaway.
in on
Put
this
something in chat.
giveaway.
Slam the chat. Cat jam.
Cat jam. Yes, Ty, #1 in the world. I like the self-confidence.
Goal.
Hi, Jen! Oh my god! Let's go.
iPod only sees.
Got 2 codes to give away. Raise your chatters.
Hey, a few more seconds. If you're lurking, put something in that chat. Hey,
Yes.
Gallant.
Yay! Oh, Tiger, you won.
Congrats, Tigger.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so happy. That's great. Okay, we've got 1 more to go. Cat jam.
Hey, Siriku.
Oh, let's go, Ty. You deserve it. Wow.
That's
No,
funny.
I like those. I like those 2 winners. It's good.
Rigged.
Rigged. Collusion. Manifested my victory. That's right. That's what meditation gets you.
Boy. So for those of you that
Okay.
might have any further questions, Twitter, Instagram, email, just mind buff me, and again, Kristen as well, especially for those of you that might be experiencing some pain or tension in your body that feels like chronic, or that you're not sure what's going on. Like, give her a holler, and she can kind of help you through that process as well. We are here for you. We are community.
Healthy community would make us very happy.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. As always, guys,
Okay.
thank you so much. That was a blast again, and can't wait to do this again. Talk to you guys real soon.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, take care, guys.